Well, yesterday was a bit of a show, wasn't it, in Parliament? You can see the debate that took place last night. I streamed that live on this channel for the benefit of anybody if they want to go across and have a look. And of course, there's lots of information, an absolute myriad of information out there. The players, who knew what, who didn't say anything, who should have said something, what they were up to, the potential consequences. And you look at it and think, and it's always good to have an overview, really, of what went on. And, you know, I'm going to play this clip of Nigel Farage from GB News, and he literally systematically uncovers the whole thing on live TV and shows you, you know, what went on. So let's have a listen to what he has to say and get a summary of the whole situation.
This has been a pretty remarkable day. The Mandelson Files, as they're being called by the media, don't think of this as just another bad day at the office for the Prime Minister. Don't think of this whole question as another political story that sickens you with career politics. No. You need to think about this in a much, much bigger context. The last major political scandal in Britain was Profumo, and that is over 60 years ago. What was that all about? Well, it was all about women, it was all about a Russian spy, and it was about cabinet ministers and senior Conservative Party people. This involves the royal family. This involves a former Prime Minister turning his guns on a current Prime Minister. This involves the leaking of cabinet state secrets to the highest level. It involves market-sensitive information of the most profound nature. It involves, in my view, one or two elements that are quite potentially breaches of the Official Secrets Act.
Now, that brief summary there that Nigel's given, there are some very serious problems for the people involved within that brief little exchange right there. What, if you look at the Official Secrets Act, that's prison time, treason, you know, going against the state. Malfeasance in public office carries a life sentence, not to mention the consequences of betraying your own country, leaking commercially sensitive information to, was it Jeffrey Epstein? And also, if you look at the bigger picture with regard to who knew what, who omitted saying anything that they may or may not have known, there are other consequences as well. What I want you all to do is look up Section 134 of the Criminal Justice Act. And what that details is basically aimed at people in public office, politicians, police officers, councillors, mayors, you name it, the list is endless. And if they're involved in anything that could constitute the word torture, which in a lot of cases you could well see it go down that way, carries a life sentence, no appeal, no chances, done. So when you look at all this in a package together and all this stuff that Farage is uncovering right here on live TV, it's serious trouble. Serious trouble. Anybody that doesn't know who Profumo is or anything about that, hang on till the end of the video, and I've got an article that I'll show you. But for now, let's have a listen.
And we watched it today at Prime Minister's Questions all play out. It was a day of deep humiliation for the Prime Minister. The leader of the opposition, Kevin Badenoch, started off and she asked three questions. Did the Prime Minister know at the time Mandelson was appointed to be our ambassador in Washington that Mandelson had maintained contact with Jeffrey Epstein after his conviction for underage prostitution? Twice, the Prime Minister tried to bat it away. On the third go, he had to admit that that was the truth.
So there you go. The guy went in, he got appointed. Apparently there was some kind of vetting procedure, if you can call it that, and it's all gone a little bit wrong. Remember what I said about omission. Now, there's been other news articles coming out this morning about that vetting process and how effective it actually was, or in this case, not very. It's a disaster, absolute unmitigated disaster.
But then came the question that led to a subsequent chain of events, and that's because the Prime Minister had agreed that he would give us information about the decision, the briefing, the backup to appoint Mandelson as ambassador. But he said, you can't see things that are matters of national security. You can't see things that are a matter of international significance. You can't see things that involve trade. And suddenly, the brief was getting wider and wider of what MPs would want to see.
What I want to know, when they put all these things in, state secrets, trade secrets, and other matters, what do they classify as those things? What is a trade secret? What is something against national security? How could you justify hiding an awful lot of information underneath those brackets or safety barriers? You know, it stinks. It really stinks. And also, are they going to end up marking their own homework, I wonder?
The extent that everyone in the House thought this is, including, by the way, his own backbenchers, this is a cover-up. This was the question number 4, that came from Kemi Badenoch.
Listen to this.
Led to a subsequent chain of events.
The Prime Minister is serious about national security concerns. He should ask the Intelligence and Security Committee to decide which documents should be released. Will he commit to doing so here and now?
So the nub of it was that the Prime Minister and the Cabinet Secretary should not be the ones to decide what things we can't see, because after all, how could the man be independent when he works for the Prime Minister?
Yeah. It goes back to that thing about marking your own homework. Anybody that's directly involved, linked to the Prime Minister or anything else, cannot decide any of this. What's seen, what isn't seen, what's said, what isn't said. Can't, otherwise, look how that will appear to everyone on the outside. Has to be done right.
It should go off to an independent committee made up of MPs and security experts.
Security experts, yes. MPs, no, in my view.
But that all made perfect sense. The Prime Minister didn't agree to it. The Prime Minister, at the end of PMQs, pretty much stormed out of the Commons. But the drama continued this afternoon. Now, bear in mind, this is the Prime Minister, of course, that has made sure that Andy Burnham doesn't return to the House of Commons. But there's one lurking giant inside the House of Commons. That's the former Deputy PM, Angela Rayner. And she then backed up what the leader of the opposition had asked for.
Given the public discourse and the sickening behaviour of Peter Mandelson and the importance of transparency, should we not have the ISC not have the same role now in keeping public confidence in the process?
It's quite obvious she's got her daggers out for the top job. I think she's been sitting there steaming for a while thinking, I'll get you, you bastard. And now's an opportunity. Now, I do believe we're looking at the final days of Starmer. I really do genuinely believe that now. How long this sham goes on for, and will it bring down the rest of the government? Who knows?
And within 2 hours, the government had backed down and decided that, yes, it would be this ISC committee that would decide the things that MPs can't see that may be matters of national security and importance. But boy, I tell you something, we are going to get an absolute treasure trove of information out of all of this. What I don't know is how long it will take for that committee to make these decisions, but it's coming, it's happening. I repeat the point. This is about corruption. This is about leaking of national and international secrets. This is a potential breach of the Official Secrets Act. It involves the royal family, it involves senior members of government, and who knows, behind it all, maybe even Epstein could have been working for the Putin regime. I believe that this is bigger than Profumo.
I believe that this is bigger than Profumo. Okay. And, you know, you get the summary there again of how much trouble there is, or how much trouble potentially there's going to be here with all of this. And a very interesting point he makes, and that is, you know, how long is this going to take? How long is this information going to take to come through? Well, if you look at what's going on with what Rupert Lowe's up to, completely separate item whatsoever, look at the absolute hash-up job the government's made of that. Gives you some idea of their conduct with regard to all of this nonsense, which is why I believe there should be some kind of independent scrutiny, definitely. Anyway, Profumo. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this. Some of you probably have, but here's an article on it, and I'll read the first paragraph or so. So the Profumo affair was a major scandal in British politics during the 1960s. John Profumo, 46-year-old Secretary of State for War in Harold Macmillan's Conservative government, had an affair beginning in 1961. Profumo denied the affair in a statement to the House of Commons. And in 1963, weeks later, a police investigation proved that he'd lied. The scandal severely damaged the credibility of Macmillan's government, and Macmillan resigned as Prime Minister in October 1963, citing ill health. The fallout contributed to the Conservative government's defeat by the Labour Party in the 1964 election. Now, later on in life, John Profumo actually did an awful lot of charity work and kind of redeemed his reputation to a large degree and ended up getting a CBE. He died in 2006, I think, something like that. So there you go, a little bit out of the pages of history. Let me know what you think of all of that in the comments. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.